Welcome back, Tribe. Got one here from Paul Joseph Watson. It's getting really bizarre, eh?
It's only getting more bizarre.
It's already been very bizarre, my friend.
Mass stabbing on a train in the UK left 9 people in hospital. They warned us not to speculate. Then for 15 hours refused to give us any information about who was responsible or what their motive was, creating a complete vacuum prompting everyone to speculate. Until a 2-minute long press conference where they still didn't reveal the motive or their names. They told us the guy who rammed a car into people in Liverpool was a white British male within 2 hours. Yet it took 15 hours after this attack for them to tell us this.
First male, a 32-year-old male, a black British national, and a 35-year-old man, a British national of Caribbean descent.
Despite eyewitnesses revealing it almost immediately the night before.
As we come off the train, I asked what that suspect looked like. They said it's a black male in all black.
It's definitely not terrorism, though.
There is nothing to suggest that this is a terrorist incident.
2 men boarding a train and simultaneously launching a stabbing frenzy against random people. I guess they both just had a simultaneous mental health episode.
That's right. There you go. It's the mental health. He was just ill. He was so ill that he decided to stab 9 people. Totally. That's the problem here. We have an issue with mental illness, not criminals stabbing, raping, murdering. No. We have the correct crime policies. We need to, guys, we have a mental health epidemic. Okay. Think about the mentally ill. Forget the victims for a second. Yes, I know 9 people were hurt. Nobody's died so far from the report. But listen, we need to think about the attacker. This poor mentally health. Throw these fucking people under the jail. Literally. Put them in chains and make them do hard labor that literally kills a man after like 30 days. These people have no use in society. There's no rehabilitating somebody that goes on a train and stabs 9 people. Why should the taxpayers foot the bill for a guy that does that? We are in a crazy situation here. The times have never been so inverted where criminals get leeway and then innocent people are the ones that are getting screwed. I had enough of this, dude. Capital punishment needs to come back wholesale too.
Just like the Southport attack wasn't terrorism, despite the Welsh choir boy possessing rioting and an Al-Qaeda training manual. It's truly bizarre after every single one of these incidents, when it's not a white man, is to put an immediate lockdown on information and threaten everyone not to talk about it.
The UK, Europe, and Germany, England thing seems so insane. Like, is there a plan involved in all this? Is this incompetence? Is this ignoring the fact that they don't have a handle on it, so they're trying to silence dissent? Like, what is happening?
What's happening is that the orcs are now in the Shires.
I talked to friends of mine in England, and I was like, "Hey, aren't you worried about this? They're like hobbits, frankly. So it's in fact, J.R.R. Tolkien based the hobbits on people he knew." In small town England, the hobbits in the Shire. Since they have almost no exposure to the dangers of the world, they don't realize that they're there.
The main priority is to righteously assert with barely concealed relish that they were born in Britain.
Both were born in the United Kingdom.
As if that somehow makes it okay. When all these atrocities were carried out by people born in Britain. After Southport, we were told that information about the suspects would be released quickly to avoid the spread of misinformation.
I think in the future, we're going to head to a world where the conversation of nationality is going to come to the forefront. I don't think people are going to accept that born in Britain, what is British man? We know what a British man looks like. We know what a Chinese man looks like. We know what an Indian man looks like. We don't have to. Indian man, when you say Indian man stabbed 6 people in like fucking New Delhi or whatever, we know what he looks like. It's not going to be a white guy that was born there. Right? You like, when you say like Filipino rampage this, blah, 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 if that's on the news, we know what a Filipino guy looks like. You're not going to think it's like some American looking dude because they don't allow you to get citizenship the way we do in the West. No other country. You try to get citizenship in China, you can't. It's a hell of a you're not getting it. But here we just give it to, we have anchor babies. We allow people to come to these countries and claim to be one of us. That's a very Western mentality, ideology that's come back to bite us in the ass because as we've seen from the crime statistics, even children of immigrants, especially immigrants who've committed crime, their children and then their children's children go on to commit crime and reoffend also. It's a multi-generational thing. I think those statistics came out in Sweden or the Netherlands. I don't know exactly who had those statistics, but crime reoffending rates are very high in family multi-generation. So you have people that are coming to your country first generation that don't assimilate well, so they shouldn't have been there in the first place. They have no skills, no high-level skills to provide, like real doctors and engineers. This is why we make the joke about more doctors and engineers to enrich us. It's like, because we need doctors and we need engineers. But they're literally sending the worst of the worst from all over the world, and then they're jacking from the treasury because the government is housing them, paying for their food, and basically giving them like a living stipend, while everyday ordinary citizens that have been paying into the system, the natives, are struggling, are suffering, are forced to make concessions just to survive day to day. But these guys are getting put in hotels, they're getting put in houses, they're given thousands of dollars in food, they don't work. And yeah, what else could you call it but to like migration replacement, really? And they vote a certain direction. And that's all it really comes down to, because if you're one of the people at the top, the elite, you're walled off in a golden gates. Like, you're never going to get touched by any of this. It's only the poor and the middle class, wherever you bust these people, that they'll have to deal with these consequences. But you get voters forever. And it's essentially like you're buying off voters, because these people that are coming to these countries, think about it. Why would they ever vote for the other guys that are threatening to deport them all? They would never. So, hey, if you keep giving me benefits and government handouts and stipends just to stay here and have kids, and I get more the more kids I have, of course I'm going to vote for your party each and every time. So why not import millions to change the electorate? And that's what it is. The electorate has changed. And so this is why, especially, you can see this happening in New York. We got a glimpse of it with Mamdani. He just won. And it's the same thing. I think the demographics were around half, 40 something percent of white people, I think, voted for him. The rest voted for Cuomo. And then I wanted to say 70 something percent, nearly 80% of non-white. And those were like all the immigrant generations and all the other people that have come, because New York is now very multiculturalism. They're overwhelmingly voting for Mamdani, for social or socialist Democrats. These people are literally voting in the same system that they ran away from. It's New York, it's a city, it's degenerate, but this stuff is going to keep happening because the demographic replacement is real. Demographics are destiny, and demographics reveal voting patterns. Just look at down by race or ethnicity, and you'll see how people vote. This is why Democrats are so interested in importing millions of people, and this is why these parties in the EU are very interested in bringing in these millions of people too. It's voters. It's buying off an electorate while selling out the natives, which is what's causing the civil unrest.
Information, an approach they only seem to follow when the suspect is a white British man.
The police seem to have backtracked, because after the Southport stabbings, there was reports by Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary saying that the police had to fill the void. They couldn't let misinformation spread. And, we see the Home Secretary saying, don't speculate. But after the horrible incident in Liverpool, where I was in your studio, within 2 hours, it seemed like the police had learned their lesson, because they were saying that the suspect is a white British man. So we're now 11 hours after this incident. There's all sorts of descriptions being released. The police must have a very good idea who these suspects are. I think we're being let down by the Force Communications Department and the senior officers who should be releasing information so we know what's going on.
These trains are entirely covered by CCTV. Are we ever going to see that? Or only when the suspect is a white British man? The very next morning, the normalisation narrative was in full swing.
Whatever the nature of these incidents are, whatever the motivations, they are few and far between.
No, they're not. There's literally one every week now.
Devastating when they happen, but we've got to carry on.
Just carry on. Just accept it. No. Believe it or not, we once lived in a country where this didn't happen all the time. Now, not only does it happen all the time, the media's largely moved on from it within days.
And you can't let these people win. They won't win.
Yeah, burying your head in the sand, pretending this is infrequent and tolerable, is letting them win. Adolescents didn't didn't work. Making it a bit harder to buy kitchen knives on Amazon didn't work. Maybe airport security at train stations will. Digital ID cards. Asking why our society suddenly seems full of savages who randomly attack people, well, you're not allowed to ask that question. Governments and central banks have been on a silver buying spree, skyrocketing the price to all-time highs. Earlier this month, Trump added silver to
really in a bit of a state because the guy actually tried to stab her, and one of the older guys, who's an absolute hero, blocked it with his head, and he's got this like gash. He had this gash on his head. He's got I think a gash on his neck, and he's kind of giving him like a jackets to keep the pressure on the blood. And while we're doing that, there's a person that I know,
What a
and
dystopic
he's
shit.
kind of looked at me and gone like, "Have you got anything we can use in case he comes through?"
There's at least 10 ambulances, 12 ambulances.
We had a Jack Daniels bottle between us, and that was it. So we're kind of sitting there with one Jack Daniels bottle, just looking down the end of this.
The reaction from shitlibs went precisely to script, that being seen as racist was worse than stopping people being killed. 10 people being stabbed on a train and all they can think of is spreading their hatred and racism minutes after people have been taken to hospital in critical condition. The only reason this country has gone to shit is people like you. Oh, really? I thought the reason the country had gone to shit is because there's people on trains carrying out mass stabbing attacks. No, apparently the country's gone to shit because there are people who ask why there are savages on trains carrying out mass stabbing attacks. Huntingdon shows a problem we have in the UK.
So, and that was a white woman, by the way. I'm telling you guys, universal suffrage was the biggest mistake that led to the downfall of our Western society. The founders of the United States never intended for universal suffrage. Like strong republics, never intended. When Rome was a republic before it went into the imperial era and the decline had already begun. People don't know, Augustus had passed laws to help people or to make people have more kids. Rome was already declining when it entered the imperial era. Romans weren't having kids. The demographic replacement had already begun. The currency debasement was already ongoing. Okay, the empire turned into imperialism to help it survive from all the debauchery and degeneracy and importing more and more and more slaves. But the people that were allowed to, and then the final nail in the coffin with the Roman Empire too, is granting everybody citizenship and allowing them to vote. People don't understand that when everybody is given, and it shouldn't even be called a right, it's a privilege. When everybody is given the privilege to vote, what they end up doing is like least common denominator stupidity, right? Race to the bottom, I should say. And it's like, why would you vote for Kamala Harris? Most women will be like, because she's a woman, yeah, and women do it better. Why would you vote for Barack Obama? Because he's black. Why would you vote for Mamdani? Because he's Muslim. Why would you vote for, and it's like everybody that shouldn't be voting. And by shouldn't be voting, I mean both men and women, and it doesn't matter what ethnicity you're from. Suffrage should come with duty. So universal suffrage is where everybody gets the right to vote, just inherent to them. I'm asking for a system that gets rid of most people's ability to vote if they do not volunteer civically or militarily to serve a nation. We need to move back into a system where the people that are willing to die and bleed for a country or serve their country in some capacity civically, those are the only ones that should have a say in how it's governed. Everybody else, you have the same exact rights, same everything, but you're basically considered like a resident. It is a meme to call it a Starship Trooper system where you have residents. Like this is how Dubai and the UAE works. You got your residents and then you have your citizens. They enjoy all the same rights, but in our Western system, you can just swap that into, but the ones that volunteer to work for the state and the ones that are allowed to, drive the state forward and pass legislation and run and be leaders and politicians should be the people that come from that cloth, those group that are willing to die for and serve their country. Because everybody else just treats voting like a joke. Nobody does any research into the candidates. It's all like identity politics. It's who you see yourself into, right? Like who you see yourself as, excuse me. So if a candidate has like a 3-second soundbite, oh, cool, bro, I'm going to vote for this guy because he owned that dude in a 3-second like snippet. And then women will vote for women, dudes will vote for whatever dudes. And it's like most people voting, it doesn't matter. Most people shouldn't be voting. Most people shouldn't have the privilege to vote. I think we're going to go into another deeper future where this right will be taken away because placating to the masses, especially the stupid masses, the bottom, I don't know how many percent of people that literally hardly know how to wipe their ass, is causing the destruction of all our countries. It really is. We cannot legislate or lead or govern this country or any country effectively that has universal suffrage. This is why there's such issue. The campaign trails are full of lies, placating to all these carve outs in all these different places. Why? Why do we have to go placate to that carve out over there in Minnesota? Why to those people in Florida? Why? No, it should be a select group of people that are willing to sacrifice themselves for the nation. Everybody else can live here and have most of the same rights and enjoy all the privileges and benefits of living in, for example, let's say the United States of America. It's safe. The streets are built well. The houses, the infrastructure, everything is working as intended. Electricity turns on most of the time. You know, everything functions. There's a standard. There are regulations. There is safety. No one's going to invade you. There's no village, war torn, crazy shit happening with warlords, you know, ravaging countrysides and all. Nothing, dude. You get to live here, you're safe. And you will still pay taxes. I don't even think net beneficiaries, or I should say contributors, should be able to either. Like before, it was landowners, right? But most landowners today are already super wealthy, boomer. These guys are hoarding property anyway. So, and these are not the right people. They don't give a fuck. It's just greed and corporations. So, land ownership isn't even what it used to be anymore before corporations became so powerful. You can't even use that anymore. And as far as who's paying taxes, again, just because you paid $500 in taxes after your like deductions and all that shit, or you're zeroed out, you shouldn't get the right to vote either. I'm sorry. You get the privilege of living here, but unless you sacrifice your body or your time, right, for the military or civically, you can't vote. You don't get the right to vote. And you can, by all means, volunteer into this system at any point. We could use you to help build bridges, help shore up hospitals, right? Go into helping with whatever else the nation needs you for. Or go to the military if you'd like. No problem. And you can serve there. And then you will be given the right to vote. The privilege will be unlocked for you. And then you can run for office and have a say in how the country is governed. I think that's an extremely fair system because we don't have to get into repeal the 19th. It's like, dude, half of men are retarded as fuck. Like, what do you mean? Repeal just the 19th. Have you walked around and heard what the average guy is like having a conversation about, what the bottom 20, 30% are talking about? Like literal knuckle draggers. Like, do you know what the probably average IQ of the bottom 50%? It's scary, actually. A lot of these people couldn't even qualify for the military. They're mentally disabled. Like their IQ is so low, the military's like, bro, we can't even use you. I mean, it might seem like a spicy take, but it's already coming back to bite us in the ass. Because look at women, for example. Women don't really give a fuck and they vote with emotions. I just use them as an example. So like that liberal woman there was like, it's you people that are the problem. You people that constantly say that it's these migrants that are committing these heinous acts. Why? Because they're bleeding heart liberals. They want to mommy the whole nation. And they want the nation to play daddy to them. So this is why they vote for an authoritarian state, a welfare state that gives them handouts. And it's like ballooning public debt. And then our countries are now crumbling. And plus the open borders. And they vote for this. And why? Because you can thin out the entire herd of people who shouldn't be voting by simply asking a very simple, rudimentary question. Will you die for this country? Will you serve this country? Okay, prove it. Boom. And okay, now you've unlocked voting. I think that's what the system should be, personally. I think it would solve a lot of problems because then we don't have to placate to the dumb masses or any carve outs or special interests or any of that. And of course, people are going to be like, I'm not sacrificing my body for this military, bro. You don't have to. You can go into a civic duty position. And by any means, the shift in government will be dramatic because it won't be these, I was going to say corrupt, but corruption's hard to stamp out in any system. But I say degenerate, sellout, fucking traitor politicians that we have now that literally take hundreds of millions from special interests and super PACs and all that shit and don't give a fuck about America, just carving it out for profit. You know, it's like we're speed running America's downfall by becoming It used to be corporate raiders in the 70s and the 80s, but now it's like corporate raiders for the United States. They're just selling off all public assets. We're privatizing absolutely everything. We're shitting on everyday normal people. And that's why Mondami and these like social democrats are winning. That's why the rubber banding is so extreme between the right and the left, because the people have different ideas on how to be governed, and they're looking for answers in politicians who aren't the establishment. So you're going to get more extreme rhetoric, more radicalized politics, and people drifting further and further apart in the voting block. And it's going to get worse, guys. It's not getting better. People are sick of the establishment and the status quo. This is why our voting is so crazy, and this is why, I mean, look at what they're doing to us. They don't care. Red or blue, they don't care. Conservative, labor, left, right, all that shit is meaningless. It's the have-nots versus the haves, and they look at you like fucking vermin, and you're just a number. Carbon they want to reduce. They want to put you on a permanent like rental subscription program for life. If they could, they would make you rent the air you breathe. You'd have to pay a subscription just to breathe their air. This has been the fight always. It's just the left has their own ideas on how to be for the people, and then the right has their own ideas how to be for the people. But we need to compromise and move somewhere towards the middle, or else those people at the top are going to pick all of us apart. That's the messaging here. Anyways, we'll see you guys on the